AJ FitzGerald. I am the Director of Professional Services here at Whalley Computer Associates, or WCA if you want to use the acronym. I manage the entire engineering professional services team here, as well as our managed services group. So that's my role, right? Prior to my role here was with HPE for quite some time, where I was introduced to StorMagic. A lot of the cases in particular revolve around, we did a lot of work with HPE with their older store virtual platform. That now obviously has been deprecated. It's no longer offered by HPE. But a lot of the customers were looking for a solution that offered a lot of the features that came with store virtual that today's HPE portfolio doesn't necessarily check all the boxes for what they're looking for. And we found very quickly that StorMagic does check those boxes, right, of what the customers currently had or have with the older store virtual product. And it just was a natural fit that if they want to stay with the same type of architecture, that StorMagic was the way to go. Parlaying into what I was just talking about before, it's really around that feature set, right? So, one of the key things with store virtual is you could have that active type environment. We have a lot of cases where a lot of these schools have a campus per se, where they want to have redundancy from a building perspective, right? Or a campus side perspective. So in a lot of these cases, the way they had the store virtual product set up was that it was in a stretch cluster, right? So they could have, one or two or more nodes in one building, and then one or two more nodes in another building that obviously present themselves as the same cluster with fiber in between. And that was something that HP didn't have in the portfolio from an HP branded perspective that StorMagic does, right? So they're able to get that same ease of use and ease of management that they had with their previous architecture with SVSAN, in addition to being able to still maintain that stretch cluster. So the stretch cluster was really the big piece, is what customers was looking for, was to have the active always on in the event that they lose a building, right? Or they lose a part of the network on one side of the campus, they can still stay up and running on the other side of the campus. And again, that ease of management, right? I mean, all customers are looking for easier way to manage their environments, and obviously from a storage perspective, and StorMagic checks that box. In addition is a lot of these schools, because again, WCA does play very deep in the SLED industry. There's budget constraints, obviously, as we all know with SLED. But number two is that they don't necessarily have a ton of storage, regardless of whether they're going to public cloud or not, which we're finding that a lot of them are not, because it's cost prohibitive. So they're still keeping a lot of that data on-prem, but we're not talking about large environments. They could be anywhere from down to 5 terabytes or less, all the way up to maybe 20 terabytes is probably the largest school size that we've seen. And again, so that price point of StorMagic of still maintaining that feature set that they want, it's just a natural fit for us to be presenting StorMagic. Obviously, running professional services here and having a large team, WCA does try to do a lot of the services and the installations and implementations on our own. In our particular case, is we're getting onboarded now with StorMagic and starting to build up more of that portfolio with you guys and going to a deeper market. We haven't built that side in our professional services that has some expertise. So in all of our cases to this point, we've leveraged a combination of both HPE from just a hardware perspective, where HPE comes in and racks and stacks and does the initial configuration of the host themselves, and then the StorMagic team comes in with their project management to actually walk the customer through doing the implementation, as well as training and handoff to the customer. So far that model has worked really well. Obviously now we're having conversations of getting individuals in my team on the engineering side trained to be able to do these implementations ourselves. But right now that model of the combination of HPE with StorMagic has worked great. Right, and there is even a chance that we may just stay with that model for right now. It's just a natural fit, right? I mean, it fits the price point that the customers are looking for. A lot of the other solutions out there, they have a minimum starting point from a storage capacity perspective. right out of the gate, a lot of the customers end up having to be over provisioned, right? Or not getting the return on that investment because they're having to spend, additional investment on capacity that they don't necessarily need. Whereas, StorMagic can really start at a much smaller granular level and then very easily scale up as the customer grows, right? So again, that's the big selling point for us, is just that it fits that price point that a lot of our customers are in, and the scale, right? So it's being able to start very small and then scale up as needed very simply.